Obviously, one of the most important things for creating speed is creating rotary torque in to the swing. And I know you got some cool drills you want to show there.
This idea of how do we create that torque? There's some particular caveats when we're talking about golf, but again, it's this what we call force couple. So it's the ability, smart to move. We call this AP force or anterior-posterior force, anterior-posterior force, how we push towards the target line or the golf ball and away. So again, we're going to push rearward and down with the trail leg. That helps drive the right hip forward. And then we're going to push towards down and towards the target line to drive that lead hip back. And we want to do that at the same time. Now, how do we do that? So if the player, we see this disconnect between that push, that anterior-posterior push, the force that we're pushing back, the ground reaction force creates a force on that trail side, forward, and the lead, when we push down and forward, that the ground reaction force is going back. So that creates this force couple or this rotating force. So I like to use the force pedal. So I'm going to put this yellow, more rigid force pedal. I'll actually use two yellows usually. I'll put this underneath my lead toe, and then I'll put another yellow one under my trail heel. This isn't the exact force application, but it's giving us, and the force pedals are great because they're resilient. When we push into them, they push back as well. So it gives us this great kinesthetic feeling of, we're putting energy into the force pedal, and then we want to push on the force pedal to get energy out. Now,
can I say what you're saying right there? Just remember, when you're trying to build ground reaction forces, every ground reaction force, they have a point of application, exactly where you're supposed to be pushing. He can push from the ball of his foot, the middle of his foot, the heel, the outside, the inside, so you want to be very specific where the point of application is. There's a line of action of what direction you're pushing, right? So it's where you're pushing from, the direction you're pushing from, and then there's a magnitude, how hard you're pushing from. Any devices like this help you get point of application and the line of application in the right place.
Right. But in this case, I'm kind of using it as a starting block. So I'm gonna move it to the point of application here in a second. But I've got the yellow, more resilient force pedal right at the toes of my lead foot and the heel of my trail foot. So it's going to give me a starting block. So I'll just get the player in 5-iron posture and just get them rotating. But what I want them to do is use this starting block to create that force. So I want those forces to happen at the exact same time. So as I load back, and then I want to apply those forces exactly at the same time. So I'm going to use the lead force pedal. I'm going to push down and towards the target line, and the rear force pedal I want to push down and away from the target line to create this force couple. So again, it's just creating magnitude of force. So then I'll move the force pedal to our point of application. So we know that there's specific points on the foot that will produce the best potential for these forces, right? So on the lead foot, it's the ball of the foot. If Greg and I ask you to do a vertical jump, you're not going to load on your heels, right? Intuitively, you're going to load in the ball of foot to create the most energy vertically. So the ball of the foot is an incredibly powerful tool in creating this vertical force, but also
it's the first and second toes. The first and second toe of the ball, not on the outside, but on the inside, with medial first and second toes.
So on the lead foot, it's very important, that ball of the lead foot, for producing vertical, but also the ability for this anterior-posterior force, this rotational force, but also the spot where we have to actually sort of stop. Once we get recentered, we have to have this lateral braking force so we don't keep cruising through impact. So again, the ball of the foot, extremely important in this lateral stabilization, the vertical force production, as well as that AP force production. The trail force pedal, I'm going to put under the center of the trail foot, just slightly towards the heel. And that's going to be our point of application for the anterior-posterior force, but as well, that lateral will come from that same position as well. So in the center of that trail foot, just slightly towards the heel. And again, I'm going to get them in 5-iron posture. And again, I want to feel that once I get loaded, turn it in the backswing, I want to have that simultaneous push from the force pedal of the ball of the lead foot, the force pedal in that center, slightly rearward position of the trail foot. And then we can actually apply that. We can take some quarter swings with the club. I don't have a club today, but again, it's just this action at that foot ground interface, pushing from that ball of the lead foot in that center rearward position of that trail, those two opposing forces to create that big rotation.